Listen carefully, I am going to tell you a story. How can the mind be calm, surrounded by noise, yet he felt unseen? Loneliness doesn't need silence. It hides in the loudest places. He smiled so people wouldn't ask, but behind that smile lived questions even he was scared to answer. He chased success and caught it, but lost his reflection somewhere along the way. His body was tired, but his mind kept playing reruns of every mistake he ever made. Anxiety isn't a storm outside. It's thunder inside the skull, echoing without warning. He wasn't afraid of the dark. He was afraid of the version of himself hiding. He never thought healing could start in silence until someone finally listened. Every word he spoke felt like opening a locked drawer he'd forgotten existed. He met the child inside, bruised, quiet, ignored, and for once he didn't look away. They said be strong, but no one taught him how to feel without breaking. Fear isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper beneath a blanket, praying for quiet. After years of holding back, one tear did what 1,000 words couldn't. Paper doesn't judge. In its lines, he found space to bleed, heal, and begin again. Each mirror showed a truth he buried: anger, grief, love, all of it. Him. Between breath and silence, he realized peace was never outside. It was inside, waiting. He didn't escape his mind. He reclaimed it. Freedom began with facing the fear. This time he didn't flinch. He saw himself, not broken, just rebuilding. The healing wasn't loud. It was subtle, like a smile he hadn't worn in years. With nothing to prove and nowhere to hide, he finally felt light. He wasn't chasing happiness anymore. He was walking with it. He hadn't spoken in 27 days. The room wasn't locked, but his mind was. Each time he blinked, the door whispered a different name. None of them were his. He scratched his arm, not because of pain, but to silence the noise underneath. In the mirror, his smile was wide, but he wasn't laughing. The clock spun backwards, then forwards, then dissolved into ink, dust, blood, paper. Memory has a scent. He hated it. The radio only played one sound: his mother's last breath on repeat. At night, the wall called him, not in words, in weeping. He opened the window. Light came in, and he forgot who he was. He wasn't shackled by metal. The chains were under his skin. Through the cracked ceiling, he saw the sky bleeding scratches of red. He stepped into the elevator. It moved, but never stopped. Not once. The shadows didn't speak anymore. They sang lullabies. He opened a door. Inside, a pile of teeth, all shaped like his. Every time he remembered, color leaked from his eyes. He unplugged the lamp. The socket blinked back at him. The clock had no hands, but it still screamed every hour. He changed the channel. Every station showed him watching himself. His childhood bear now had teeth, real ones. It grinned. At night, the bed breathed slow, deep, like it waited to feed. He tore the wallpaper. Behind it, lips moved, whispering his name. In the mirror, he wasn't brushing his hair. He was dead in a coffin. He turned the knob. It pierced his hand. He laughed. The floor turned to tar, but he walked anyway. He laid his head down. It screamed, softly. Each light bulb had an iris, and it blinked. He opened the fridge. Laughter spilled out. Rotten and cold, he stepped outside. The rain fell into the sky. Not from it. He heard footsteps, but nothing followed. Everything above him sighed and slept. The room exhaled. Fingers slid from cracks in the wall, reaching, trembling. No one sat in the chair, but it rocked like someone was crying. The portrait exhaled mist, and he felt it on his skin. He turned the tap. Eyes poured out instead of water. His blanket curled around him and whispered things he'd forgotten. Outside, the windows blinked. Glass lids. Watching, he bent to look beneath. A smile stared back. He heard himself call his name from the sink. He woke up to find his sketchbook had drawn him sleeping. He ran up the stairs and arrived back at the bottom. Something behind the wall coughed, then laughed. On the window, someone wrote his name. From the inside. Breathing felt like swallowing red syrup. He turned the crank. The melody sobbed like a wounded animal. No matter where he ran, it was always just behind him. The walls moved just a little closer every second. The light turned on, but he had no shadow. A suit stood upright, smiling, hollow inside. The tiles reflected a room he wasn't standing in. The phone rang, but the sound came from inside his skull. The red stains whispered. They knew what he did. The fan spun in reverse. Time felt wrong. The candle smoke drew faces, all of them crying. The scratch marks on the wall slowly changed shape. The fire flickered, and it whispered his name, softly. The knock came from outside, and then from behind him. The vines grew ears, listening, always listening. He stood still, but his footsteps walked on. He leaned close. The sink pulled and smiled. He heard it again, this time from beneath his feet. You think you're in control? right? But what if I told you someone else is pulling your strings? TV ads, social media, colors, they all shape your thoughts without permission? You believe you're choosing freely, but your choices are part of the script. What feels normal is often carefully designed. Even silence can be engineered control. Do you listen to the news, or is it just fed to you? Control is quiet. That's why it works. Your attention is a battlefield, and you're losing. As long as you're asleep, you're a puppet. Waking up is hard, but it's necessary. Every second is designed to distract you. If you don't take control, someone else will. The more you know, the harder you are to control. Real freedom begins with awareness. Look, think, ask why. You're not a puppet unless you stay blind. Their control ends when your awareness begins. The people you idolize may be tools of the system. What feels normal is often carefully designed. Even silence can be engineered control. Do you listen to the news, or is it just fed to you? Control is quiet. That's why it works. Your attention is a battlefield, and you're losing. As long as you're asleep, you're a puppet. Waking up is hard, but it's necessary. Every second is designed to distract you. If you don't take control, someone else will. The more you know, the harder you are to control. Real freedom begins with awareness. Look, think, ask why. You're not a puppet unless you stay blind. Their control ends when your awareness begins. The people you idolize may be tools of the system.